Of our national cemeteries, there are so many stories there to be told about the heroes who are resting.
Yeah, each of the markers give a small glimpse into the life and service of the person whose name bear it. And on a recent visit to Tahoma National Cemetery, our Brandy Cruz got the chance to see some of those burial markers being installed when one of them specifically caught her eye. Brandy, why did this one marker in particular stand out to you?
Yeah, well, I think it was a couple things, and it's always such an honor to be at Tahoma, and there are so many of them, and you get a chance to go and read them one by one. And there was one that just, like you said, it really stuck out to me. There's two reasons for it. First, there was, as you see it here, a pink Post-it note. It read, "Love you, Dad." And then as I got closer and read it, you can see the inscription there. It says, "More than a name on a wall." So immediately we set out to learn more about the name on the wall. His name is Steve Bourdage. We found out through friends and family about his tremendous life and service, not only to our country, but to the people of Washington State. And I'm thrilled that his daughter, Angie, is joining us live in studio this morning. It wasn't too hard to find out about him. I posted the picture. I immediately heard from a friend, and then we got in touch. The reason I wanted to have you in is I think that inscription, and we can show it again, it speaks so much to every service member that is resting not only at Tahoma, but at all of our national cemeteries. More than a name on a wall, and each of them are. So I literally just want you to talk about the man behind the name on the wall, your dad, Steve.
So my dad was more than a dad. He was our friend, he was our mentor, he was a superhero, really, to all of us. And I was drafted very young, took over to Korea, manned the DMZ over in Korea, then spent some time in the Army Reserves before going into law enforcement, which we have a family of police officers, 3 generations. So I spent over 30 years in law enforcement in Washington State, and retired, worked at the federal courthouse, and then after retiring from there, lived for his family and his kids and his granddaughter, and we miss him.
Yeah, and I love the picture. This is a great picture, too. Your dad, Steve, there. I love seeing the pictures of him when he first got drafted into the service, because he is so young. Can we put one of those back up? Look at that, yeah. Young, strapping lad. Did he tell you a lot about his time at the service? Because now when we look at Korea, and he served along the demilitarized zone, it's just so in the news as of late. Did he talk to you a lot about his time serving the country?
Growing up, not so much. He had a lot of PTSD, nightmares, that sort of thing. So he really didn't talk about it until later in his life. I think he was trying to protect us all from what he saw and what he witnessed. But he was certainly proud of fighting for his country. Flew his flag out in the front yard every day, wore his Army hats and Army jackets all the time. So he served proudly for our country.
And you mentioned he also served in law enforcement. Here is someone who went and served our country and then spent decades continuing to serve. He ended up at the Auburn Police Department. I got a chance to talk to your brother over the phone. He's also Auburn PD. So what kind of example must your dad have set for you and your family, for your brother to want to follow in his footsteps?
He was my brother's best friend. So my brother always wanted to be like my dad, down to wearing Seahawks jerseys, Steve Bourdage being a favorite, you know. And I don't think my brother ever questioned about going into law enforcement. Like I said, we have 3 generations. So my grandfather was a chief of police down in Kelso, down in Kalama. My uncle was in Kelso, Longview area. So we have lots of police officers in our family, and my brother always wanted to be a cop, from the little plastic badges you have when you're a kid, you know, up until he became a jailer and then went to patrol.
Yeah, really a lifetime and a family legacy of service to our country and to our state. I want to talk to you about the inscription, because your dad liked country music.
He did old school country,
and
yes.
I just learned sitting here with you before the commercial that little inscription, "More than a name on a wall," is from a country music song?
Yeah, it's a Statler Brothers song. So my dad was a singer. He had a beautiful voice, and he loved old country music, Alabama and the Statler Brothers. And yeah, it was one of his favorite songs, written about the Vietnam War Memorial. And we went and saw the Statler Brothers at the Puyallup Fair and had a chance to meet Jimmy Fortune, who wrote the song. And when my brother was trying to come up with the phrase to put on the nameplate, it just kind of resonated with us. And so it was perfect in multiple avenues.
How hard is that to try to take, and as we were mentioning, you know, when we look at these markers behind us, it's such a small little inscription to be able to try to put the life and service of someone into writing. How hard is that as a family member of a service member to say, what's the right way?
It was near impossible. We wanted to represent my dad, who had a fantastic personality. He was always making jokes, always giving people a hard time. But you also want to be respectful, because it is a military place of rest and respect. And so we had a hard time going back and forth. We looked at a lot of, he loved John Wayne, so we looked at a lot of John Wayne quotes, but they were all too wordy. So trying to find a few words to fit, to live forever, you know, was difficult. My brother did a really good job, though.
And I just want to end here. As I had said at the beginning, I think that what that marker does is it sums up how I'm sure so many families feel, which is we want people to know that their life and their legacy are so much more than just this marker. So for you, as a family of a service member, when folks visit Mount Tahoma or Tahoma National Cemetery or any of our cemeteries, what do you want them to know when they look at all those markers as they walk the grounds?
It's such a beautiful location. And when I drive in there, all I feel is gratitude and love, because everybody there has family that misses them and loves them. And I just want them to feel peace and love.
Well, thank you so much for coming to share the story of your dad, Steve, for letting me get a hold of the family out of the blue. And, you know, I saw this marker. And thank you for your dad's service and for the service that your family continues to give all of us. You know, it's a tremendous sacrifice to do that. And your family has done it so long. So, Angie, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. All right, back over to you, Travis.